Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Awesome. Everyone, thank you for joining today's Gresham Hills Neighborhood Association meeting. I do apologize for anyone that had trouble getting in. As all technology is, it's temperamental at times. This is our first virtual meeting, and that is because we are in the middle of a bit of a pandemic. So I thank everyone for being flexible. If you did get flyers in your mailbox and we did not update you in time, I do apologize. But please continue to check our social media and everything like that if you need updates on what's going on. There's an agenda on our Facebook, on our website, greshampark.org. And there's also information from BWIN, our state representative, on the COVID epidemic and what our local resources are doing. This is a key document that I think everyone should review because it goes over everything from school closures that are currently going on, as well as what resources are available to our residents in the area. There are free lunches available to students who are at school. There's also information on what senior homes are still open and what people are doing to, and what resources are available to our elderly residents. Going down the agenda, we're not going to have a financial update today, but we'll provide that to you at a later time. At this time, our next meeting is April 21st. That meeting may be canceled based on the pandemic that we're dealing with, but we'll be sure to update you with more as we learn more. The spring fling that we had planned to have with McNair High School, which we thought would be a great idea, is being postponed at this time. It may be somewhat of a summer fling instead of a spring fling, but it really just depends on what's going on in the nation at the time. Obviously, we want to get residents together. We want to have a job fair. We want to have all these different things. However, we want to make sure that we're doing what's best for our community. And having an event with hundreds of people there and having students around may not be the best thing for our community at this time. So please stand by for updates when it comes to the spring fling or summer fling. We want to partner with the businesses in the area. We want to have job fairs. We want to do these things, but we want to also be respectful to our residents in the area, especially when it pertains to their health. Before we get into updates from BWIN and happenings around Gresham, or BWIN and the candidates that will be speaking today, I wanted to let you guys know of little things that are happening around town since we last met in January. So when we last met in January, we talked about the senior housing development on 1539 Cecilia Drive. That is still moving forward. We'll have an update from the church and when they're going to be able to sell that land and get construction started at our April meeting. Obviously, there's some zoning changes that will have to occur. For that to make sense, but we'll give you an update as we learn more. Also, just a quick update, the Gresham Plaza has cleaned up the mess behind their facility. Apparently, DeKalb Code Enforcement worked with them to help, one, remove the security bars that are on the buildings at Gresham Plaza, as well as clean up all the trash that we've been talking about and cleaning up the encampment that was behind the gym that just closed down. Members have stated that, keeping that Gresham Plaza clean is key to what they want to see in the community. And we're glad that DeKalb County is helping us do that. If you do see anything where people are just dumping trash or businesses are not taking care of, public land or land that is visible to the public, please let us know. We'll do what we can. Our goal is not to be code enforcement, but our goal is to ensure that businesses are respecting the land that they have leased or purchased, especially if it's something that is in the public's eye all the time. And that definitely fits with Gresham Plaza. Moving to COVID-19, we definitely want to make sure that everyone sees the documentation that's on our website. We will obviously continue to update our blog with any pertinent information that we see coming from DeKalb County, State of Georgia Department of Public Health, or any of our elected officials. Furthermore, we'll be updating you on resources available to you that you can utilize. Currently, an organization called Food Not Bombs is doing home delivery of groceries. We're going to be working with them. How that looks, we don't know yet, but be aware that we'll be helping them deliver groceries in the Gresham Park area. And with that, we're going to pause really quickly. Communication Secretary Catherine Lee, what's going on?
We've got B and Ted ready to go.
Okay. And is the stream still rolling?
Yes.
Great. All right, guys. Sorry about all this back and forth, but a virtual meeting is very interesting. So, it's very interesting, everything that happens. B, I'll let you take it away. Obviously, you've been at the state capitol talking to legislators about what resources are going to become available to our residents, not only in Gresham Park, DeKalb County, but also statewide. Are you here, B?
Can you hear me on the line, Manny?
Yeah, we can. Hey, B.
Oh, okay, great.
Awesome.
I was trying to get on video and phone, and so I was unsure of what I was connected to. Thank you for hosting this meeting and changing the platform. I know we're in really critical times. I have a lot of updates to share on what's happening with COVID-19. It's happened pretty rapidly. So last week we were in legislative session, and we learned of the first death in Georgia from the COVID-19 virus, and shortly after that, the decision was made to suspend our legislative session indefinitely. So we are currently in recess. That happened last Thursday. But before we suspended our session, we did vote on emergency relief for COVID. It's a $100 million package that was passed through the General Assembly. And the governor actually declared a state of emergency the following day. Now, in order for us to be declared a state of emergency, the governor the governor proposes that resolution, which expands his executive powers, and the General Assembly has ratified his declaration for state of emergency. What it basically does is it extends his executive powers to make decisions related to the COVID-19 virus, including mandating things that he typically would not be able to mandate as it relates to our public health, but also things like school closures. So we were actually called into the General Assembly yesterday for a special session at 8 a.m., and we were expecting to sign off on a state of emergency resolution, but ended up in our chambers for almost 8 hours yesterday trying to negotiate with the Senate. So what that looked like is our original version of the resolution gave the governor 30 days of executive power, and we were to reconvene in 30 days to take a vote on whether or not we would extend those powers. The Senate version also granted the governor 30 days of executive power, but upon those 30 days, the governor would have the right to extend those executive powers without the General Assembly voting to ratify that. Now you can see that would be, we would want to proceed with caution so we can make sure that we have our legislative branches checking each other, and that's why it's so long to negotiate with the Senate. Ultimately, what happened is we signed we signed two different documents. One, we voted on the resolution and passing it, and Georgia is now officially a state of emergency. The resolution does not have an end date, but we also ratified at the same time another special session, which will begin on April 15th, 2020. At that time, it will be exactly 30 days from when we were able to pass the state of emergency declaration, and we'll be going back in on the 15th next month to vote on whether or not we rescind those executive powers. So, that being said, this is a very serious pandemic. We have been on the phone with the governor, with the Department of Public Health Director, Catherine Toomey, as well as the mayor, and then tomorrow DeKalb will have a virtual town hall as well. So I just want to give you a few updates. There have been a lot of questions about testing and what that means. So right now we have an extremely limited supply of tests, and hospitals are already overwhelmed. Grady Hospital is overwhelmed at the moment. And so what the Department of Health and CDC has recommended is that if you're exhibiting any symptoms, please call your primary care physician first. Do not report to any hospital or any emergency room. One of the dangers of this virus is it's asymptomatic, meaning probably many of us have been exposed to the virus. Some of us may be carriers, but not everybody will experience the symptoms. The populations that are most vulnerable to experiencing the symptoms are seniors, people with compromised immune systems, and those who are pregnant. So it's very important that we stay out of the public because we may be carriers and we may be passing it on to people who will actually get very, very ill from the virus. As of today, we had 146 confirmed cases and that one death from last week. We've been watching the curve in other countries and other states, and we expect that we will be diagnosing more and more cases every single day. There are a limited amount of tests available, so they are rationing who they are testing, which is why our numbers are still incredibly low. because we are just not conducting enough tests every day. They are ramping up testing sites. The only places that you can get tests right now, to our knowledge, is that with the Georgia Department of Health, with Emory, and with Grady Hospital, but that will start to change. We are going to be setting up testing sites across the state, and they are working on increasing the number of tests per day. So right now, we are not even up to 200 tests per day, and the majority of those tests have come back positive. We have not been releasing, and I would like us to release this, but we have not been releasing the number of negative tests or even confirming the number of tests that we are giving per day. Now, in order to get tested at Grady, you must see a doctor first before you even go to Grady, and you still have to meet a certain set of criteria before they'll administer the test. The test is supposed to be free. That commitment has been made through the state of Georgia, although in some cases we're hearing that some private testers are trying to charge a fee for that. But the commitment made as told to us from the Georgia Department of Health is the test is actually supposed to be free. So given the number of tests that are available, it's very unlikely that the majority of us are able to get tested, which is why the public, which is why the CDC and the Department of Public Health has advised everybody to just stay at home. There is a hotline set up. It is 844-442-2681, and I'll make sure that I share that with everybody on a document so you have it. But that hotline is the state hotline. We're recommended to call that hotline if we have any questions or exhibit any symptoms before appearing in any ER, urgent care, or hospital. The federal government has recommended limiting public gatherings to 10 people and maintaining a distance of 6 feet apart. There has been no mandate from the state or from City of Atlanta or DeKalb to close down restaurants or bars. But what the trend has been, City of Brookhaven closed down restaurants and bars yesterday. Athens, Georgia just made some limitations on the number of people in bars, which is 10. A lot of restaurants are making changes to the way in which you can dine. There's going to be no longer standing room dining. There will be limitations to the number of people at your party. There are restaurants who have already chosen ahead of time to close down their places and only offer curbside or to-go orders in recognition of keeping their workers safe and keeping the public safe. Now, there's a lot of concerns about what's going to happen with small businesses and workers who are out of a job. The mayor today just issued an executive order to set aside $7 million to help with the COVID virus, and some of that money will be allocated to small businesses. And the state also just made a request to the federal government for funding for small businesses. I'll be sending out information on how to apply for those things, how to apply for unemployment, how to get some financial relief during this time. But we are at a critical juncture in which this is probably going to devastate a lot of small businesses, and workers are going to be hard-pressed. On to school closings. The governor did mandate the closures of all public preschools, secondary school, and post-secondary schools through March 31st. You may have seen that the University System of Georgia issued their closure last week, as well as many private colleges. Most of the campuses have recommended that their students move off campus, and the residential housing is being shut down. You all have offered a month of free storage for students who have no place to bring their belongings. It is a very hard time for students as well. They'll be transitioning to remote learning, and some of those students actually had a lot of trouble finding a place to live for the remainder of the session, of their semester, I mean. With public school closures, most of the public schools in Metro Atlanta, including City of Atlanta and DeKalb, already decided to close for at least 2 weeks or indefinitely. The governor's issue goes to the end of March, but on call with Mayor Lance Bottoms yesterday, she believes that we will probably be closed for the rest of this school year. So that means kids probably will not be going back to school until the fall. Because of that, there are a lot of resources that have been set up in terms of making sure that students still have food. There are a list of places to obtain delivering food throughout the day. For APS, they have a number of locations in which you can get free bag meals from 10 a.m. to noon. Families can also receive a bag of groceries that's being provided by the Atlanta Food Bank from 10 a.m. to noon. There are snacks being sent out from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. For DeKalb County, students also have free lunch sites from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. In the Department of Parks and Rec, they're allowing students to pick up snacks between 3:30 and 4:30. I have all of this information in one place so that you don't have to write it down. I can just send it out to you. For Meals on Wheels, if you are a Meals on Wheels client, then your meals will continue to be distributed to you if you're a current customer. Seniors will also be able to pick up meals between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. And for those who don't have transportation, there is a phone number that you can call, which is also included on this sheet. The Atlanta Community Food Bank has 50 pickup locations so that people can also get food. And Manny, I know that you talked about doing grocery delivery services. That might be a good resource for those who might not have the financial resources if you partner her up with the food bank in order to get some of those groceries. All senior centers are currently closed. The governor recommended that long-term care facilities restrict all visitors, volunteers, and non-essential personnel. There's a set of guidelines he issued, which includes eliminating any kind of convenings in the centers, no more eating together, and making sure that if any of the healthcare workers are sick, they do have support from the government on paid leave. The City Hall is closed. DeKalb County is closed. There's a lot of guidance around what we need to be doing in order to protect ourselves. A lot of those recommendations are on CDC, but primarily I suggest staying home as much as you possibly can, and then calling that hotline if you have any symptoms. There are also volunteer requests, including Hosea Feed the Hungry. They need food donations, including the Red Cross, running out of blood. We are on low supplies. There's going to be a lot of changes and new information coming out in the almost on a daily basis, actually. So I am going to continue to keep this document updated and continue to send it out to all of y'all. And then the last thing I want to touch on is our election. So the presidential primary, which was scheduled for Tuesday, March 24th, has been moved to May 19th, and all of the races on that particular ballot have also been moved to May 19th. If you've already voted in a presidential primary, your vote is still going to be counted. What is going to happen is they will be matching up voters who already voted, making sure that if you want to vote for May 19th, say for the special sheriff's election, for a state house or state senate race, you will be able to vote for all of those races. The presidential one will not appear on your ballot. They've halted all early voting for the time being. The Secretary of State will be sending out absentee ballots for voters who are age 60 and older. The app that we are working on with Stacey Abrams Fair Fight is making sure that everybody is automatically sent an absentee ballot. Right now, you can request an absentee ballot, and I would recommend doing so because you just don't know how things are going to unfold. You can do that through the Secretary of State's website. They probably won't mail it out right away because the timelines for the May 19th and absentee ballot are a little bit further down the road, but you can make that request now. We'll continue to update you on any election changes and anything related to COVID-19.
Thank you, B. That was a succinct update. Very good. I guess my question for you is locally, Gresham Park, only 8,000 people. Obviously, we want to follow the same things that everyone else is doing. Do you see us having to support the elderly or anyone with food or groceries, or do you think that there are state and county resources available for that?
Manny, I think at this point it should be all hands on deck. I think where neighbors and friends can support each other, we do need to do that. The city and state will certainly make funds available, but there's going to be a timeline in which those resources are allocated. And even as you know, as I shared with you, places like Hosea Feed the Hungry are asking for donations to help stock their shelter. I do think that we will be pressed on resources. Hospitals do not have all the equipment they need. They're running out of face masks. They're running out of gloves. They're running out of hand sanitizer. It's a pretty critical situation. So I think if we are able to and we have the resources, it should be an all hands on deck. I commend you for taking a proactive step and making sure that the seniors have food. I think that is a really good idea. They are at most risk out of any population. And the studies showed that if we buy groceries, if we're buying to-go food, and we're dropping it off without any kind of contact, the virus should not be transmitted that way. So any opportunity and to drop things off at people's houses without making actual contact will not endanger them.
Great. Thank you so much. If we have any questions from residents, I'll be sure to forward them to you and your staff. But I think you've given us a lot of information, and I'll say it one more time. Our website has the document that B's created. All the information she shared with us today should be on there. And B, will you be updating that document as your team learns more?
Yes, I've been updating this document almost every day. I specifically created a Google document that's readable by the general public so that I can go back in and easily just update it, and it can be easily shared and disseminated. I want to ask everybody to share it widely. It's been very hard to find information all in one place, so we've been working really hard to just drop as much information as we can in one source so that you can just look through and see what closures are happening, what recommendations there are, how many cases have been confirmed. And then one more thing, the governor, the mayor did sign an executive order to halt evictions in the city of Atlanta. DeKalb County has not done that. For utilities, currently it's Georgia Power, Comcast, who have made the promise not to cut off utilities. City of Atlanta watershed will not be cutting off any water. DeKalb County already has a rule in the books that says they do not cut off water in the cases of dispute. So we have all been working to make sure that nobody is going to be stuck without utilities or anything critical during this time. And all of that information, like I said, Manny, I'll be updating it on a daily basis. Also, one more thing, all of the courts are closed for non-essential things. Any jury trial, any tickets, any non-essential matters, do not report to court. You do not need to go.
Great. I'm sure people are going to have specific questions. We'll try to funnel them to the right resource, but if not, we'll work with you and your staff, B.
Totally. Reach out anytime, and I'll just say my cell phone on here in case anyone needs to call or text me. It's 404-630-2301, and then my email is beeforgeorgia.com. My staff and I are working remotely. We are not doing any in-person events or meetings on the legislative or campaign side. I just wanted everybody to take a lot of caution, including those who want to visit with family members. One of the concerns that was brought up is that we are all being exposed, and then we go visit with our elderly parents or grandparents, and then we expose them to the virus. So it is very serious. The incubation period of the recommended quarantine period, if you feel like you've been exposed, is 7 days. So I would just advise everybody to try to hunker down as much as possible. If you are exhibiting any symptoms, make sure you don't have any contact with people for at least 7 days, but also make sure you call that hotline for more advice.
As usual, B, you've been a huge help, and you've provided a lot of information. Thank you for your time, and we look forward to talking to you or seeing you again soon in the hopefully near future, but we'll see you soon.
Thanks, Manny. Thanks for your leadership. Reach out for anything, and hope everybody stays safe. I'm going to jump off the call, but I'm available to y'all anytime.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Members, that was a great update from B. I'll say it for the second to last time. Go to the website, make sure you're not downloading that document. As you heard her say, the document is a living piece of information now. So any kind of updates that are coming from the state and honestly the county level, B will ensure that it's updated and that we have that information. Taking a deep breath. That's a lot of information to consume. The world's going to be okay. So keep calm and carry on, I guess, right? Okay, so moving forward, we actually have Sule from the project management company that's working on the 1539 Cecilia Drive site. He's going to be our next guest to speak. Sule, are you there?
I'm here, guys. I'm here.
Great. So members that are joining us right now, right next to Cecilia Drive, or on Cecilia Drive, which is right next to the five-way stop where the Texaco is, there's an abandoned building that was owned by the church. They're looking to sell that land and provide senior housing. Sule is part of an organization that's helping the church do that. So I thought it would be smart to let him speak, give us some updates, and then show us when that new building is going to be there, because I know that the residents and some of the seniors actually want to be in there. So give us an update, let us know where we are and how we can help you.
Okay. Let me start by saying that I wish I had a more positive update regarding the project and its progress. Because we've actually been slow consistently, given some recent things that have happened at the start of the year. More specifically, I will just give you a quick update and take a step back. My business partner and I, Andy Schnegenberger, had been working to assist the church with the redevelopment of the site. We actually identified 3 prospective developers via a request for proposals that came in, expressed an interest in the project, and submitted proposals to complete projects at that site. All 3 of the projects were dependent on low-income housing tax credits, which is a specific type of financing that comes from the Georgia Department of Community Affairs. So it's coming from the state of Georgia. We were relying on tax credits and a combination of funding, subsidy coming from the DeKalb County Office of Housing and Community Development. So we have been in contact with both DCA, Department of Community Affairs, and DeKalb County through the latter part of last year and then through the first quarter of this year. In February, we were informed by the DeKalb County Office of Community Development that they had some concerns with respect to putting their funding into the project first, and indicated that they would like to take a step back with respect to their funding commitment. So that was a pretty stiff blow to us, but we were looking for other ways in which we could move the project forward. Shortly thereafter, I think the date that we found out may have been the 6th of February that DeKalb County wasn't interested. Shortly thereafter, DCA, the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, said, hey, we are issuing a moratorium for our 4% low-income housing tax credit deal. And that's actually the type of funding, again, that we were seeking for this specific project. So it's like getting, after being punched in the face by DeKalb County, getting a swift gut punch by the Department of Community Affairs. And that didn't just affect this project, it actually affects all projects in the state of Georgia that are proposing 4% low-income housing tax credit. The reason why they issued that moratorium at this time is because they feel like they are oversubscribed. They've got too many applications in the queue, and they need to clear out their request for financing at this time. So unfortunately, that moratorium is going to be in place for approximately 1 year. So we're expecting by the first quarter of next year, they will have kind of worked through their backlog of projects that they've applied for, and then at that point, they should be able to issue new tax credits for similar types of projects. If I didn't mention it previously, please note that all 3 development partners that we were working with were interested in providing some level of affordable housing, whether it was senior housing specifically or housing for families. The developer that was selected was the National Church Residences, and they were simply providing senior housing. Okay, we were talking about a building that would be approximately 100 units. It would be an elevated building with approximately 3, maybe 4 stories on that site. I believe I said 100 units, but let me take that back. We were looking at a number that was slightly lower than that. I think with the zoning that we were seeking, that number would have been closer to 78 units. Nevertheless, just with respect to the project and how we are working to move forward, we've been in touch with several other development partners, prospective development partners, to, again, the entire development industry, just as it relates to affordable housing, is dealing with that moratorium. But we found a firm that's willing to take an additional look at the project and see if they can fund it using a different funding mechanism or more non-traditional source. So we are working with them currently to pull together financials and see if these other sources that are available would work in place of the traditional financing sources that I've referenced earlier, the DeKalb County Department of Housing and Community Development, and then also the Georgia Department of Community Affairs, 4% low-income housing tax credit. Okay, so in short, we are actually having to take a step back, just due to market conditions, and really work towards repackaging the deal for financing so that we can get something done. Ultimately, as we are able to get new commitments in place, we will come to the community with additional information and specific requests, particularly as it relates to zoning and securing the zoning for the proposed project. But again, details regarding the type of project that we're proposing, multifamily in particular, the target population, whether it's senior or family, all that information will be divulged at that particular point, if not possibly even a little sooner. I know one of the commitments that we made to the community was actually to seek some input regarding the site plan in advance of seeking the zoning. We are still committed to doing that. But we want to make sure that we have a project, we have an actual development project in place before coming into the community. What I don't want to do is go through a major exercise and then say, hey guys, guess what, we can't finance this anyway, so we've got another developer who's going to come in and do something entirely different. Right. So if you would, and you don't mind, please allow us the space and flexibility to identify this development partner, find a plan that works, and then begin that site planning process that we discussed when we relaxed before you guys. I know I said a lot, guys, but if there's an opportunity to take any questions, I'm certainly available to do that.
We are doing a virtual meeting, so there are no questions here in the room. But I have one for you, and then I'm hoping we have a new economic development committee that I'm hoping you can work with, led by our ex-president or previous president, Wendell Carter. So if you can get coffee with them at some point, I think that would be great. This is a pretty blunt question, but I think it makes sense to ask it. With the funding changes going on, are we at a point where we're changing or chasing the funding and the intended use of the land may change as well? So let me rephrase that. Is funding, is the zoning request contingent on who's actually funding the project?
Let me think through that, because I'm not...
So my question is, if you found a developer that's open to putting in mixed use with like condos up top, right, that would still be on the table, I'm guessing.
So, I mean, that could be a...
it's not a negative, and it's not a negative. I'm just wondering.
Yeah, I know. What I would hate to say no at this point.
Right.
But what I can say honestly is that that's not the development profile that we have pursued.
Okay, that's fair.
Would, what we've worked on with Pastor Rice specifically has been a model that includes, affordable housing, specifically targeting seniors, okay? And that's really been the path that we've actually stayed on at this time. If that changes, we'll be working in close concert with the church to actually make that determination and how that moves forward. Okay. But what we're pursuing now, as we have previously, is a development program that's, really focuses on affordable housing, targeting targeting, low-income seniors.
Sure. Pastor Ice nodded and said, yes, the church's goal is to still continue with that plan moving forward of having affordable housing for seniors. I'll let economic development talk to you guys and just make sure we're all on the same page. Obviously, if there's a zoning change, we'll assist you with that.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I think, yeah, you're right. We haven't even started the race yet. So let's figure out what we need to do. And we'll support you guys in any way possible. But thank you for coming on and explaining where we are as a community, especially with that property. Sure. And we'll keep you in the loop, members, and so we'll keep you in the loop as well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I definitely appreciate it, and glad to be able to join you this evening.
Awesome. Have a great afternoon.
And what I would say is just a quick compliment, saying great work in pulling the meeting off virtually.
Yeah.
In light of everything that's going on, I'm sure you guys did this on pretty short notice. So.
Yeah. I think our updates from our state representative were definitely needed to calm people down and give a quick update. But yeah, no, thank you for your compliment. Very nice.
Fantastic. All right.
Next, guys, we're going to hear from Super District 6 candidate Ted Terry. Ted Terry is running for the Kelly Gannon spot. Kelly Gannon is our DeKalb County Commissioner for Super District 6. She's done great work as a commissioner. I commend her on all her work, and I'm hoping she retires and doesn't go back to work because she's done a lot for decades. So, Ted Terry, if you want to start speaking, we're going to whip the computer around so people can see your beautiful face. But, yeah. Get started.
Very good. You hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for the invitation. I'm sorry that we can't be there in person, but I'm glad to know that we got folks like BWIN and our local and federal state governments working to contain the pandemic. As was mentioned, I'm running for the Super 6 DeKalb County Commission District. It is one of two super districts. So you have five, commissioners. Larry Johnson's, I think, most including your district, a commissioner, and then the Super 6 is half of the county. So it goes from Dunwoody to down to Brookhaven, Chamblee, a little bit of Doraville, Emory, Toco Hills, down to Decatur, Chandler Park, Avondale Estates, Scottsdale, and East Atlanta, all the way down to Gresham Park and your area. So it's a big district, 350,000 people. A couple just other little things on the race. There's no Republican that is qualified for this race. It is a partisan race. We have two other Democrats that are running in the Democratic primary on May 19th. So the Democratic primary is where all the action's at for the Super 6 to represent you on the county commission there. A little bit about myself. I've been mayor of the city of Clarkston, Georgia, the last 6.5 years. Before that, I worked as chapter director of the Georgia Sierra Club. I also worked for the Georgia AFL-CIO, and also worked for U.S. Congressman John Barrow during the 2010 election cycle. I started off in Georgia, DeKalb County in 2005 as a door-to-door canvasser for the Sierra Club, and eventually worked for President Obama's first campaign. I have over 15 plus years advocacy, and then Georgia. I'm proud to say that Clarkston is known as the most ethnically diverse square mile in America, and by that same accord, DeKalb County really is one of the most diverse counties in America, and I believe that our diversity is our strength, and that we by passing policies that bring people together, that focus on inclusion, we can move DeKalb County to even greater heights. In Clarkston, we were the first city to decriminalize marijuana possession, an effort to reduce mass incarceration. A policy that I'm proud to say that 3.5 years later, over 15 cities and counties have followed our model ordinance, protecting almost 1 million people from life-ruining arrests for simple possession of marijuana charge. That's something I want to see us do at the county level as well. Clarkston was also the first city in Georgia to pass a $15 minimum wage for our city employees. $15 an hour is the living wage in Metro Atlanta. The passed that back in 2016. Several other cities have followed suit, including DeKalb County. I think as of this year, DeKalb and Atlanta now pay their city employees a $15 living wage. A few other things about Clarkston, we also were the first city to pass a election day as a holiday referendum. So our city employees get a day off to vote. I want to see an election day county-wide holiday to increase voter participation. We've outlawed LGBTQ discrimination through our non-discrimination ordinance. We have committed ourselves and begun working on a transition to a 100% clean energy and clean transportation future to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, to take action on climate. And later this year, Clarkston will be have the first tiny home neighborhood development in all of Georgia, a pilot neighborhood project to try to create more affordable housing and address what is known as the missing middle of housing accessibility and home ownership access for our county. And that leads me into why I'm running. I'm running to bring new energy, new ideas, and to move DeKalb County forward. I want people to be. I'm already proud to call DeKalb County home, but I want everyone to say when they talk about DeKalb County, when they talk about moving to DeKalb County, when they talk about living in DeKalb County, I want you, your family, your friends, potential investors to say, wow, DeKalb County's got a lot of really great things going on. We're proud to call this place our home, a place where we have our business, where we go to parks and recreate. I want people to be proud and to have some real pride when it comes to DeKalb County, as I do, and I know a lot of you do as well. The three main issues I'm running on are related to housing, the environment, and voting rights. I put out my first policy paper. It's on my website, tedfordecalb.com. The website is being switched over to a new hosting server, so it might not work right now, but a couple hours it should be working. But I have put out my housing strategy for DeKalb. It's about a 4.5-page document where I really dive deeply into addressing what is going to probably be the biggest challenge for DeKalb County in the future. We're expected to grow to over 1 million people by 2050. And the first thing that I remarked when I heard the Atlanta Regional Commission's prediction on that was, where are they all going to live? How can we possibly fit another 250,000 people in DeKalb County? And so housing, accessibility, affordability, housing agility, as I call it. So a range of housing options need to be on the table. And I'm really committed to creating an environment where we don't over-gentrify and displace our long-term residents, where we also provide opportunities for renters to gain that generational wealth building that comes with home ownership. Number two, I want to see us become the greenest county in Georgia. It is not only a threat to our climate with global warming, we all have to do our part to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. I truly believe that as we become a more sustainably minded green county, that will bring more investment, more job opportunities. It'll keep our air clean, our water clean. It'll mean that we can, hopefully grow a lot more food locally and have more productive urban landscapes and edible landscapes that really create true food ecosystems where there are no food deserts anywhere in the county. And then number three, I want to see a complete overhaul of our voting systems, our ethics systems. I'm calling it the DeKalb for the People Act. It's modeled on the very first bill that House Democrats introduced in the 2019 session, which will create more funding for voting access, for same-day registration, for voting anywhere in DeKalb County on Election Day, for expanding early vote times and location, for overhauling the ethics code and really strengthening it, and expanding it even to staff members of administration. I believe that voting is one of our most sacred rights, and unfortunately, in the last several years, there's been too much voter suppression, too many hurdles that are put in the way of the average person to get out and exercise their democratic rights. And so I believe that with the For the People Act here in DeKalb County, we can make it short to show that we have one of the biggest turnouts of any counties in voting, whether they're Democrat or Republican. I think that when more people participate, the stronger that our democracy is, and I think ultimately the better that we can actually come together and work on the solutions, find solutions that I think we all actually are. And with that, I'll be happy to take any questions, comments, concerns. I'm here to listen and to learn. I know there's a lot of issues happening down in Southwest DeKalb, whether it's Blackhall Studios, whether it's code enforcement, whether it's infrastructure or street lights. I'm hearing a lot of those things already. I'm looking forward to hearing y'all's feedback and ideas that might come up.
Ted, I think you gave a great overview. Sadly, because of the format of today's meeting, we're not going to be able to take any questions. I do enjoy that, or I do appreciate that you brought up Blackhall Studios because they've been a thorn in our community side for some time. Not the economic development, but the taking of public land and trying to make it privatized. So that's always a scary thing when that gets approved by other commissioners. If we have any questions, please email us. We'll be happy to send those over to Ted Terry. And Ted, with the elections moving out, we hope to have you here in person if and when everything slows down when it comes to the pandemic that we have going on right now.
Absolutely. I look forward to coming in person once the pandemic subsides and we can start, hanging out again together and meeting. And I'm not knocking on doors right now, but I am, using social distancing procedures and with gloves, leaving walk cards at people's front doorsteps. So you might get a card on your front doorstep. You don't have to take it if you don't want to, but we are using gloves. It has my website. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm even on TikTok. The kids said I got to get on TikTok. But if you just Google Ted Terry, there's lots of ways to reach me. My personal cell phone, it's on my campaign card, but my personal cell phone is 404-585-0833. You can call or text anytime. I take the approach of the county commission the same way I took being a small town mayor. Everyone has my cell phone. Everyone knows how to get a hold of me. There literally is no problem too small that you might have that I will take seriously. I will take every problem with as much urgency as it affects your day-to-day lives. And I want to be a representative and advocate for you all. Thank you very much. And I asked for your vote on May 19th. It sounds like I might vote by mail. But yeah, just wanted to ask for everyone's vote and support on May 19th.
Thank you, Ted. We'll forward any questions to you. And like I said, we look forward to talking to you soon. Moving forward, we're going to talk to candidate for DeKalb County School District 3, which is Gresham Park. David Manuel, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great. So I'm David Manuel, and I'm running for DeKalb School Board District 3, which you are correct is your area. It is schools like Barack Obama, Cedar Grove, Columbia, McNair, the Museum School, and several others in between. A little bit about myself. I am currently the director of the Porter Sanford Performing Arts Center, which is located on Rainbow Drive in Southwest DeKalb. I am also a manager of Recreation Parks and Cultural Affairs. Before that, I was a director at the Woodruff Arts Center for 20 plus years. I worked closely with the High Museum, the Symphony, the Alliance Theater. I put together programs that really benefited our youth. And also, I was a classroom educator for 8 years at Atlanta Public School System. I taught second grade at Thomasville Heights Elementary School. So I'm very familiar with the resources that the teachers need. And I'm also aware with how our kids are arriving to school, what level they're on, and what we must do as a whole structure to increase and better those numbers. I'm running on the platform to inspire, ignite, and engage our kids. My youngest son is actually graduating from Ohio University. Hopefully, it's just in council in May, but he's just finishing up his education at Ohio University. So I don't have any babies in Atlanta public school system or the DeKalb County school system, but I have a passion for kids. And as a former educator, I have the opportunity to work across the board with the current board members to actually build trust in the community. And I think that's a big part. Many of our kids are failing at the third grade level, and we all know that that level is the pipeline of prison. And so we have to have a board member and a complete board that works together across the board to promote the changes of bringing excellence in our classroom, and to not only get our kids college ready, but also to get them career ready, because every kid may not attend college, but every kid deserves an opportunity for success. And I'm committed to making sure that I work across all on the same direction so that we can benefit our kids. Now, in the South DeKalb area, one of our main issues is we're not filling the gap in terms of our population of kids. We're losing our kids. Hello?
We're still here. I think that was
okay, we're
dropping. You're good.
We're losing our kids around the age of 16 when they're dropping out. So we have schools like Cedar Grove and McNair that are 200 to 300 kids less than their capacity. Well, we have to do something about that, and we have to engage the board as well as the educator to work together, along with building the trust with our parents and getting our parents more involved. Another factor is we don't have a lot of active PTAs in our school system in District 3, and we have to reestablish that. I'm a person who listens. I'm a person who understands budget. I'm a person who understands leadership and management. And if you select me as your school board District 3 board member, I promise to give that total attention and support to not only our classroom educators, but also communicate and bring out in so they'll be more involved, as well as work across the board to look at some of our businesses and our churches to say, hey, let's adopt some of these schools, because it takes a group to really make sure that this is successful, and I'm dedicated to making sure. My name is David Manuel. I have a website, David Manuel for DeKalb. I'm on Facebook, Committee to Elect David Manuel. My cell number is 678-575-7059. That's 678-575-7059. I'm available. I'm reachable. I'm a listener. I'm approachable. And I look forward to serving the community as I've served it in the arts and arts education. Now I want to serve it with the DeKalb County School Board.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David. One of the things I really liked about your speech right there is the fact that you talked about the PTAs. Dr. Lakeisha Walker, when we meet with her on site, said the same thing, that PTAs are important, and it would be great to have them in our community again. So thank you for that. We look forward to working with you if you're elected, and we will definitely add your information to our website so that people can learn more about you. And same thing as we said with Ted Terry, we'd love to have you meet with us in the future. So if this all clears itself out, we hope to see you soon. And we're good to go.
And I want to thank you for hosting this. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to have a platform. And I know we all in a very nervous, unpredictable situation, but the business at hand still needs to go. And I really appreciate the fact that you have continued with this to open up this kind of dialogue. Thank you.
No problem. No problem. That's why we're here. Members that are still here, our last representative is Miss Mildred Thompson Scott. She is speaking for Marcia Ridley, who is running for State District 89. That is currently held by B. Wynn. I've met Marcia at our fall festival last year, as well as a few other events around town. So she is local. She's dedicated to coming out and meeting the people. I'm looking forward to what you have to say, Mildred. And thanks for being here.
Thank you.
No problem.
How are you?
I'm good. Good.
As you said, I'm here representing Marcia Ridley, who is running for state representative in District 89. Marcia is well known in District 89. She's been in that community for a long time. She was raised there and then went away and came back. And so she's been living there now for over 20 years. So she knows about that community. Her father, her grandfather rather, was a Baptist preacher. And so you know how Baptist preachers are. They teach you what you need to know, especially about the community. And so you have people in the community, they just in there. But Marcia is one of those people who was watching when she was growing up and said, one day I'm going to make a change in this community. And that's what she's going to do now. She's also right now working with several initiatives to deal with the coronavirus that's going around, especially the senior citizens. Everybody in the community is important, but especially our elderly people and babies and children. So she's working with that. She's also working with the children, and she wants to work with people, with the community in terms of having something for the children to do. And a lot of times we have to have something for the children to do. And so she's going to do that. She's strong. And I like to say this about her. She's honest. She's very honest. She's caring, and she's open for conversation if you want to talk to her. And so that's the part that I like about her. She's trustworthy, and she's going to do things that she says she's going to do. She's working on issues right now to remedy the concerns that are in her community. So, and that's District 89. So she's been over there all of her life, and so she's kind of know what's going on there. She's, as I said, she's compassionate, she's honest, and she's trustworthy, and she has an abundance of leadership skills. She just got it. I've known her for several years, and that's what I like about her. She's trustworthy. I mean, and she has a concern for all the people in the community, not just a special segment of people in the community. Also, she's recruiting for volunteers. If anybody would like to volunteer, there's a number you can call. You can reach her by calling 678-350-1375, and you can also get her website there. And so we're looking forward to working with her and getting her involved in the community of District 89. Okay? Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mildred. You are 100% right. She is extremely approachable and extremely easy to talk to. Every time I see her, it's like I knew her before I even saw her. She's very easy to talk to. We'll also add that information to our meeting minutes. So anyone that wants to volunteer on the campaign, our meeting minutes will be updated by
8 p.m.
8 p.m. on today. Sorry, great. So meeting minutes will be up and running by 8 p.m. today, the 17th of March. Guys, that concludes our meeting, our virtual meeting today. Thank you for joining, and thank you for dealing with our technical issues at the beginning. Obviously, this is a work in progress. We're still committed to having monthly meetings. Even though we have this outbreak, I think it's more important now than ever that we're getting updates from our elected officials and those who are running to change the policies within DeKalb County and the state, because they will have to deal with the aftermath of this pandemic, and they will be making changes for years to come. So thank you for joining. We'll be having more of these virtual meetings, like I said. If you have any questions, please email us. Please talk to us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, our website. We want to route you to the right direction. And the last thing I'll say is the purpose of this community association was to be a voice for the people that live in Gresham Park and connect you with resources that you may not know about, but that you need. As we go into this month of interesting times, to say the least, we want to continue that charter. If you need help and you cannot find the resource, please let us know. We cannot do everything for you, but we will try our damnedest to get you the right resource needed for your specific element or need. That being said, we will also, I'm getting bad looks from Ray over here because we're in the house of God, but I mean that we will try our best to get you in touch with the right resource. That being said, we're also working with other organizations to get groceries delivered in our area. If the safeguards around government resources go off the rails, we'll also be trying to fund some meals for people in the community as well. So please be on the lookout for that. And like I said, our job is to connect you with resources. So review the documents on our website. Let us know if there's an issue that you need help with that is not on that resource document. And if you need grocery pickup, email us immediately. We'll help you with that. And if you need to be connected to some of the food pantries that are in our area, specifically some of the churches on Boulder Crest, McNair High School, and then Chris 180, who may be opening their pantry or keeping it open. Do we have?
It's already open to the public.
Great. So Chris 180's food pantry is open to the public. So if you need any of this information, please contact us. That's why we're here, to support you guys in this time of need. That concludes the meeting. Thanks for joining. We will talk to you guys soon. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.